Welcome to Florida's Drinking Report, brought to you by Sailfish Brewing Company. If you like what you're listening to, you can check us out on YouTube and Spotify, and please like and subscribe to keep up to date on all the cool things that we're doing and coming out with. So, I'm your captain, David Bushea, joined again by my co-captains today, Brian Tonnessen and Emily Hayhurst.
Yo!
Hello, pussycats.
And he needs no introduction.
One more
Sorry.
time.
He doesn't need an introduction either.
Introduction, but our guest today, Dave Cavasinni.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on today. So those of you who don't know, Dave's the head brewer here at Sailfish Brewing Company. Been here a little over 9 years.
Yep, it will be 10 in April.
10 in April. Wow.
Yeah.
You've been through it all. You've been through it all. Well, it's one of my favorite times of year here at Sailfish is our winter merchandise coming out. So we're all sporting the Sailfish hoodies today.
I'm using the Eric Cartman strategy, saying like, you can't have one of these. These are the employee hoodies.
But yeah, if you like what you're seeing here, check us out. Check out our merchandise site to see all the cool stuff posted on there. But my favorite time of year, these are the most comfortable damn sweaters we have.
They really are.
I'm like Michael Scott in his lucky jeans when I wear a hoodie. I'm all over the place. I'm very happy, and
I think
yeah.
I've been in a sweatshirt or sweatpants for like the past 3 weeks at
Yeah.
minimum. No
For sure.
complaints. No complaints.
I just love all these places putting out their propane tank heaters when it's beautiful and 60 degrees outside at night.
Yeah.
It's like beer drinking weather. Let's ruin it with
A heater.
the surface of the sun. Yeah.
Right on the back of your neck.
Yeah. No, and that's usually where I end up too, by the way, which, I mean, there's a lot of internal heat to begin with, right? And then you put me by a propane tank. It's not pretty. It starts to smell.
All right, we'll
Things
try not
start
to.
cooking.
We'll try
Yeah.
not to bring in the propane heaters while we're doing this
Please
podcast.
do not. No.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're back in Fort Pierce today, and with no further ado, going into the drinking report. What's everybody drinking today?
It's stout weather.
It
So
is.
a little bit of S'mores Creek goes a long way.
It definitely does.
Could have done Cooper's Dance, but it's a little early in the afternoon.
I got a
Dave, what do you got there?
Tag and release. I haven't
Yeah.
had one in a little while. We
There
were
you
talking about
go.
it this morning.
One of
Yeah.
our greatest hits there.
I need it.
I almost got a tag, but just like I do, it's light tackle for me.
Girl lunch today also.
I need a girl lunch. I haven't had lunch today.
French fries and salad, please.
And I'm joining.
And a fat beer.
I'm joining Dave also with another tag and release. It's that kind of weather out, and this is the time of year where we're drinking a lot of tag.
Yeah.
It's an awesome amber. So, carrying with what we've been starting to do here on the podcast after Emily stumbled upon a show that's been on for about 40 years, Pardon the Interruption, PTI on ESPN.
It like ESPN started and then PTI was there. It's like, what is that?
Wow.
So, her idea of...
That's why I don't know shit about TikTok. So
Brian, what is this segment called again?
hop topics, but it's more fun to say hop topics.
So, Emily leads
Shout
the
out,
Hot Topics.
Andy. Yeah.
It's fun.
So, if those of you guys don't know yet, it's a timed segment where Emily picks her favorite topics,
Favorite or not necessarily favorite.
controversial, whatever they are.
It's whatever Emily
We have
wants to
about
know.
2 minutes to discuss them amongst us. And when the
It's
buzzer
a
goes
glimpse
off,
into
we'll
the
move on.
brain of young Miss Hayhurst. Scary place, but hilarious place. And
All right. And there's no real structure to this, free flowing. Emily says the topic, and we all respond to what our thoughts are on that.
When the buzzer goes off, you should stop talking.
And say, shut
It's
up, Brian.
done.
But that's, I just want to concur. That is not how PTI works. They keep going after the
Do they?
buzzer. Oh, yeah.
So do we.
Yeah,
Just have to say, shut up, Brian. Shut up, Emily.
Yeah, well, I got yelled at like a lot the last one. I'm like, have you not seen the show or just like,
I haven't.
okay.
I mean,
Well, they keep going.
Sort of.
They keep going. What happens is they get deducted points if they keep going. And like, it's just the points are set at random.
well,
The game is rigged.
I mean, it always
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we
All
getting
right.
into it?
Ready to go. Start
go.
the timer. Emily, start off with the first one at Hop Topic. How you
Hop
say
Topics.
it? Yeah.
This is starting off good. So, a conspiracy theory that you absolutely believe is true.
I
Man.
believed in Bigfoot for a very long time. And then this show called Finding Bigfoot was on television. And it turned into the biggest unintentional comedy in the history of the world. Because they never found him, but they were experts on him.
I do remember this.
They had a freaking field biologist, like University of Washington, like right in the heart of like nature, and they found this deer carcass at the bottom of a hill, and she's like, okay, so clearly there's a bunch of coyote tracks. This is a fawn. It fell down. Like, you idiot! This is a clear Bigfoot kill. Bigfoot loves to chase deer down hills. And every time they changed the rules of the game, it'd be like, oh no, Bigfoot prefers that we hit the trees with baseball bats. And, they're out in the woods shouting at each other. They're hearing noises that microphones for television studios can't pick up. So yeah, Bigfoot. Don't believe in it anymore. Go for it. Sorry, I rambled.
Oh man,
What's the point?
Trying to think of one that's not gonna
It doesn't matter.
make us all upset.
No, that's the point.
I don't know.
Stand-up comedian Dan Soder does this really fun thing. He does Andre the Giant conspiracy theories, and he does this Andre the Giant impression. It's like he's like, "We never landed on the moon."
That was my conspiracies. I don't think we landed on the moon.
Really?
You don't think so?
No.
We got proof.
Do we?
Kinda.
That's enough for me. It's enough for me.
Do we?
Mine's Malaysian Airlines. That
Oh,
shit.
the one that just disappeared.
Yeah, I swear that was.
Oh, we can't find them.
Nothing.
There's 8 television shows about
There was like
that,
some
too.
important people on that plane.
Right. Really? Yeah. It was like it was like a shit ton of hundreds of people and nothing.
Man.
The plane, none of it.
It's like the Titanic was like 4 dudes on there were like the 4 dudes that were gonna vote against the Federal Reserve or something like
Well,
that.
take
There's
that.
mine. There's
I didn't know
mine.
that.
Yeah.
Should have flown JetBlue, dude.
Wait, what's yours?
I already gave mine.
No.
I believed in Bigfoot, and now I don't.
We need to know Dave's.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Just
I
say
won't-
it, Dave.
I won't use the Titanic one. That I already. I guess I can use that one. I don't know. JFK. Like,
It's fair.
it wasn't just some. I don't think it was some crazy guy.
Yeah.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, I think the
A
Royals.
crazy guy obsessed with books.
Yeah, he just. Yeah.
Is that the president? All right.
I think
right.
the Royals definitely ixnayed Princess Diana. Also, speaking of those people,
This is getting pretty deep.
always
This is a different podcast now. This one is not about beer.
some of it. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Sorry, I lost it. Number 1 food to have with beer:
Is there an order?
pizza.
No.
Okay.
Pizza for me,
I mean, yeah, that's a good one.
or girl lunch.
I'm still heavy on the 999 challenge. It's 9 beers, 9 innings of baseball, 9 hot dogs.
Did you do that?
Bow to.
Stay tuned until spring training.
I'm planning for
Can you
February 27th, opening day, ballpark at the Palm Beaches. Let's go.
Are you gonna record? I'm gonna record.
Oh, definitely
the whole
not.
thing. I'm recording it.
I'll get to the 3rd and be like, all right, challenge over.
No, it's gonna be. My name's Brian. This is my first hot dog and my first beer. We're doing this, and then you'll be like, "This is the first hot dog," and then you'll go to the next. And by the 9th, we're all gonna really see how you're feeling.
I'm with that.
Yeah,
Stay tuned. Like and subscribe.
it's gonna be a podcast.
Only
of
for
its own.
subscribers. Yeah.
French fries.
Yeah,
Just
solid.
for girl lunch,
Okay.
basically.
Pretty okay.
Basi-
European lunch, if there's a difference.
No, I would concur with that. It's one of my
European girl
favorite pastimes is some French fries, a beer, and some aioli to dip it into.
There you go.
Solid.
That is
Not
girl
to be
lunch.
confused with mayo, right? Girl lunch.
No, that straight up is because you
Yeah.
have like 8,000 dipping sauces.
Yeah.
You've never like and you've never seen that?
That's
like
a
the
Belgian,
yeah.
Western
Yeah.
European
Oh,
specialty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned over there that was like
And-
went to Belgium and it was just like
25-year-old
fries.
women too, apparently.
Yeah, you get a little basket of fries you walk around with.
Yeah.
It's a
can't
cone.
beat that.
Dip
It's
it in
a
mayo.
cone.
Basket, yeah.
I mean, it's so a thing over there that even the cones have their own little like tray for the mayo.
Ah,
I love that.
that's cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
I think all food goes with beer, to be
Aioli is just a
honest.
fancy way to say mayo.
Yeah.
Come
Don't
on.
tell Dave that. He hates mayo.
Like Duke's aioli. Come on. How are we on time? Because I can go on.
5 seconds.
Hot dogs.
All right.
All right, move
When
on.
is the appropriate time to put up Christmas decor?
Sorry. Good.
Anytime after Thanksgiving.
After.
After, I think like this week, the week of like December 4th is a good week to do it.
Yeah, first week
Yeah.
of December.
Yeah.
I think with Thanksgiving still falling so late and then rolling right into
Oh, this
December,
year, yeah.
it makes it tight. So I think it's a lot of just time. You
Right.
know, like if you have time before Thanksgiving.
Dude, what
Before?
is up with Thanksgiving like creeping up in December? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird this year because it was just like usually I feel like Thanksgiving is like the 24th
Correct.
or whatever. And being on the 28th this year, and then immediately like a day later, it's December 1st. And I'm just like, I just had turkeys and Santa's here.
That messes with the space-time continuum.
But I think it's a
completely.
welcome
Did.
surprise, though, because
I think we're getting into conspiracies again.
Yeah.
well, it gives us like the whole month of December. It just loosens people up a little bit, to
Right.
relax and like, hey, like we have some holidays coming up. I don't know. I mean, I go back to Florida. We don't have a break ever.
It threw me-
We're at 365 a year, and
Yeah.
Threw
there's
me
no
off.
time
I've been dragging ass post-Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Dragging ass.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, for whatever reason, we missed a week, and now Thanksgiving is December 1.
Yeah. I have not
what it
wanted to
felt
leave the
like.
house in days.
There you go.
I've wanted to be in sweatpants and a sweatshirt. And
Well, we appreciate you coming out today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Anywho, moving on.
okay,
Cutting it now.
cutting it now.
That's enough. All right. Tipping culture. What are our thoughts on it and how it's changed? It's a hot topic these days, just so everyone's wondering, or in case everyone's wondering.
If we're talking about our friends in Europe, I remember one time in Austria, I left like 50% tip, as I do, and they got upset with me. They're like, this is an insult. Did I not like crush it? I'm like, no, you did. That's why. I was like, no, I only want half of it. Like, chase me down the damn street. So it's so different here. But a lot of the American economy is a service-based economy. And the way to reward great service is to go above and beyond. But I don't know how you fix that.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think even the service it goes above and beyond anymore, and I don't think we pay people enough because they have to rely on tips, and I think everyone expects tips. When you go to Starbucks and they're like, "Here's your coffee,"
Right.
and then here's your like tip, put the tip thingy on there, and like I'm a great tipper. Like same, like once you work on this side of the industry, it's just like you
Yeah.
tip above and beyond.
Yeah.
Even if the service fucking sucks,
Yeah, I
you're
end up
still getting
Tipping great, and then was like, didn't get anything I wanted, and was
Right.
like, I hope you're,
Yeah.
I-
like it's a thankless job, honestly.
I just want to make a statement. If you order takeout and you go pick it up, please tip the person that put it together. The magical takeout fairies
Agreed.
do not put that together by themselves.
That's a
Yeah.
fair statement. There's some
Yeah.
work involved with that. Yeah.
No, there is.
Yeah.
When you bartend at a chain restaurant, you end up being the takeout person, and you spend more time doing that shit than anything. Yeah.
Well, it's got crazy to the point where like now restaurants and everywhere, like everything is so separate now. All the service fees and charges, like you could go in for like say your $15 burger, and somehow your tab is like $40 by the
They've
end of
learned that
it.
from hotels.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I said. I'm like, that is insane. That like they have the service charge fee, and then there's like a hospitality fee, and then that's not even gratuity.
Oh, my favorite, when you're staying in hotels in like Sanford, in like the Lake Mary area, they're like, lake fee. What?
A late fee?
I'm $8 over per diem because I have a lake fee. Thanks. Yeah.
Last one.
Last one.
Sure.
If you were a burger,
What kind of burger would you be?
no, what part of the burger would you be?
So you're talking like bread and the other shit that
The
goes on.
classic cheeseburger.
I would be the toothpick holding the burger together.
Nice. It's a fair statement.
To elaborate.
No,
Yeah,
that's
it's self-explanatory.
Kind of true.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
think-
sauce guy.
Sauce.
I'm a special sauce. That's
I think I'd be the fried egg. Because at
We're
first,
getting fancy here.
Because at first I'm pretty difficult to look at, but you're glad I'm there. Kind of like on the podcast.
I think I would be like the mayo because, you know, some people like it, some people don't.
Man, you're
Full
straight
of
up patty
flavor.
mayonnaise today.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
It's all good.
You know, but flavorful, but some find it distasteful,
Who?
you know.
Who?
Mayo?
Point him out. No, you.
This guy right here.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's what I get.
I'm just saying. It's good or whatever.
It is more gooder.
It's more gooder.
I would just say this: make burgers longer, not taller.
Ooh, I like that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because nothing load it up. You go to Grease Burger Bar in West Palm Beach, you get yourself a Sailfish Lager. You start stacking up that burger
Yeah.
with onion rings, Durango sauce, and the shit is here. Give it to me long.
Yeah.
Let me cut it up.
I agree with that.
So it's a
I
hot
love
dog.
that. Well, that's
No,
what I was about
limited
to say.
real estate, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta build up.
like a grinder.
I know
almost.
it looks like I have a huge mouth, and I know all that stuff, all the jokes. Put it in the comments, please. We need more comments. But I can't.
Tell us
do
you
that.
like us.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't put a whole burger like that in one bite. No.
I can't either.
But if it's long,
It's
I'm
supposed
team all
to.
set. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I prefer hot dogs over burgers. I mean, they're easier to eat.
But that is a West Virginia Pittsburgh deal.
It's
like
true.
you're not eating a whole bunch of burgers there.
It's true, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely chili
You guys
slaw
invented the fried pickle. It's
and
just saying.
pepperoni rolls
Yeah, yeah.
and chili slaw dogs.
That's more of a Cincinnati.
Chili and slaw in Cincinnati?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like the only thing Cincinnati is famous for is a mediocre football team and a chili dog.
But with slaw.
Yeah. No, it's like
The
stupid.
slaw was always the weird thing growing up where people were like, if I go anywhere else and I get a hot dog out of state or anything, they're like, ew, you're disgusting.
That's like putting
creature.
mustard on fast food burgers. That was a southern thing I didn't know about.
That's Southern too?
Oh yeah.
I do that.
No.
I'm pretty sure when you had come over at one point a long time ago and we had burgers, I was like, I needed all the condiments, and mustard was one of the ones.
I wouldn't be the mustard on a burger. Fried egg.
I
what I'm going with.
appreciated that.
All good.
All right, we're
Anyway.
finished with the burger talk.
Yeah, we're done.
For now.
For now.
Mayonnaise is definitely coming
Well-
up 6 more times.
Well, Emily, thanks for hosting the
Oh, yes. You're welcome.
Hot Topics.
Hot topics.
Here
Great
for a
one
good
today.
time.
Yeah.
Not a long time.
So diving into our guest today, Dave. I mean, we're drinking the byproduct of what you create right now.
And we
So-
love it.
Yeah.
A
This isn't a
thousand
byproduct. The
times.
product you create. Don't say byproduct. What the hell I'm talking about?
No animal byproduct in this beer. Well, this is going to be a weird one today.
I know, kind of strange. But anyways, so Dave, you raised in Vero Beach,
Yep.
went to school in the Tampa area,
Yep. Went to USF.
UNTF, came back to the Treasure Coast.
Yep.
So during that time, when did you start to get interested in beer and beer making?
Well, never had a beer before I was legally allowed to, and
Liar.
Sure.
and of course, whatever you can get your hands on, whatever beer, Old English or whatever, and
Shout out.
And I guess first place I had like a legal beer was a craft beer. I actually went to Hurricane Wings back
Okay.
when Al was. I don't think Al was working that day, but it was when he managed the place.
Mhm.
And I had my first like beer, and then once I went to Tampa, like the beer scene was well established over there.
Oh
so
yeah, it was at its it's definitely heyday.
we were already
kicking
in.
off.
I was into craft beer, but I didn't, like a noob. But then once I got over there, it was like, whoa, like it was huge.
And you were there during like the mania.
yeah.
Yeah.
When it was just Wild Cigar City was gonna make their tap room bigger, and it was like, but
And now they have.
Giggles.
well, success, great success. Huh?
It's monster size now.
They had the energy to do it.
If you know, you know.
But but me and my friends actually were like, we can't enjoy anything, so like we have to like go deep into like everything we like kind of like. We just get like way too into it, so we had to like make our own beer, and then Austin and Kyle, if anyone remembers those guys back in the day, we all grew up together, so home brewing. And when I lived in Tampa, I got them into home brewing, and then they entered that competition with that Al hosted at Sailfish, and it was like whoever wins the little kind of beauty pageant style, whoever wins gets to brew their batch on the 3-barrel system. And I had got them into it, and they made a pale ale, and that once they got their foot in the door, over there I had joined a homebrew club and got like really into it, and it's kind of in a weird part of my life where I wasn't really doing anything. And that's when Austin called me, and he's like, hey man, we might need someone else. And so I was like, all right, fuck it. And I just dropped everything and moved back and lived at my mom's house, and the rest is history.
As they
love
said.
that.
But I mean, you were there with like some Tampa royalty. I remember
for
you
sure.
telling me like hanging out at Dunderbacks and
That was our homebrew club. Met up was at Dunderbox, and and I lived not far from there, and would just like go there and just that to me was like the epicenter of my
That-
brewing
my first like ever market call to Tampa, like number one from like JJ Taylor, they were like, yeah, your first stop is Dunderbox, and like that might be your only stop today.
What is Dunderbox?
It's a German restaurant beer garden.
Got you.
Off Bruceby Downs. I mean, I've been to tons of German restaurants, like since, like that being like, it's the best one.
Yeah.
Like, it really is.
It's a great German restaurant, but the thing is, it wasn't, because I sold German beer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They had everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had like all like the scarcity beers that they stopped making. They had like 8 of them.
Dude,
Yeah.
Brian, you'll remember this, and this just reminds me because that's like this was my Dunderbox. The place down in Pompano, the German place.
Oh, you're Checkers Old Munchin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Checkers on Munchin.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
No.
Oh.
No, this was like what World of Beer could have been if they had great German food.
Yeah, I always call it, it's Disney World for people who like food and beer.
Yeah.
Got you.
And that's
And it's where everybody. I mean, that's where Chris Johnson from all those guys.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody like has made their way like
Through there.
if anyone in Tampa, you know, Dunderbox. You know.
It's weird how there's always a few places that everybody kind of goes to. I mean, you brought Hurricanes, and like Hurricanes and Vero like kind of started craft beer
Oh, for sure.
in Vero specifically, and
For
like
sure.
Al was a big part of that. Taylor continued that on when she was there as well too, and like they brought like growler fills
Yeah.
to like retail spots, and
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you know, so many people pass through there, and so many people has been a part of us, whether it's been on the you know, production side or the actual retail side here that came from Hurricanes and Vero.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there was like that place Brugger's that lasted a little
Oh,
while.
yeah.
It was beer and burgers. Great concept. Hey, we're back. Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
The burger talk is not ending.
It won't. Burgers and mayonnaise is the hot topic of this podcast.
yeah, so I mean, going back to, you know, your involvement coming back here in, let's say, 2012, 2013, 2014.
It was, I think it was 20, I guess, yeah, it would be 2015 because I'll be 10 years. Yeah.
That's right. So the beer scene on the Treasure Coast at that time to what it is now, I mean, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you were responsible for educating a lot of people during that time.
Yeah,
like,
I mean-
exposing them to craft beer.
Yeah, I mean, in the early days when, like, Al was out there going literally everywhere where anybody was.
Drink beer, yep.
Like, people weren't even, like, had anything to do with beer. We were just there. We were just everywhere. And, I mean, yeah, it was definitely, like, a place where, like, nobody drank really craft beer. I mean, except for those few people, and they would go to those few places. No, it's changed dramatically, of course, and
Yeah.
it's even starting to kind of like, you know, we saw the boom. Now we're seeing who's real, really
Who's
like about
real?
it.
I love that. Who's real? Who's in it to
Who's
win
a
it?
real little boy?
Well, it's this.
It's always the little boys with you.
Well, it's just because I'm jabbing you. 'Cause I'll have a little boy.
I know it is my fault. I started it,
Yeah.
but it's okay if I say it. Anywho,
But yeah, I mean, you know, to your point, we're past. I feel like we're past the hype beer phase of a lot of that craft boom we experienced for the past decade here, more or less.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There's really nothing to be. Now it's more consistency. It's just really, you know.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't gonna wait in line on their Saturday morning to
Right.
buy a 4-pack of a hazy IPA that costs $24 when they can get it at Publix.
right.
Yeah, very
That's what
fair.
I think you said it perfectly, like consistency, but just back to that boom, like even 5, 6, 7 years ago when I was like getting into it, I was definitely loved the hype beers, but like wouldn't wait in line for them by any means. I would just wait for them to roll out somewhere else, but would get excited if like there was some weird one-off that was on tap somewhere. And even just getting into in sales at that time and just selling it, like you didn't need to have a reason, you didn't need to have a rhyme of why here's this crazy one-off beer, and they were like immediately give it to me. So I appreciate.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a time where we had a new beer, average a new beer a week. Like we had a 3-barrel system. It was just always just
Yeah.
random stuff.
I remember that
coming out.
Yeah.
And
Do you miss that sort of creativity though?
I mean, the creativity, I feel like the same, like from the challenge aspect, we have that even more now. Like,
Right.
how are we going to get this variety? I mean, we got 18, 24 beers we can have on tap, still do the same thing, but, you know, have to do it a lot different.
Right.
There's some things, you know, that would be cool, but, you know, it's like once you get past the whole like I want to do everything, and you start figuring out like what works, what do I like, and you don't have to be everything to everybody,
right?
You know,
Yeah.
Because going from that 3-barrel where I think I just make up that it's like the challenge there is like how many can I get off of this one?
Oh yeah,
and am I going to do 8 3-barrel batches of white Marlin, or can I do whatever? Yeah.
And then when you get the famous quote was got anything cool coming out?
I was about to say that. Yeah.
What rotators
As
do you
they're
have?
drinking something that's really cool that just came out 5 minutes ago.
It's like, oh man, you should do this, you should do that, and then we come out with this beer that we put so many hops in, we're probably not even making money at this point, and just give them whatever they want, and then, well, you got anything cool coming out though? It's like, probably not, man.
No, we got the good stuff coming out.
Yeah, because you see different walks of life for different brewers that I've had the real grateful for the opportunity to work with, and some felt more like this challenge of this intention beer, an imperial coffee porter. I remember they were all geeked up. How much coffee are we going to use? What kind of coffee are we going to use? Oh, are we going to put it post? Are we going to put it and there's also the challenge of having this beer right here, the Sunrise City, taste the same way 6 months from now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, there's never not a challenge. I mean,
right.
I mean, shit breaks. It doesn't stop. But
shit breaks as in you have to take a shit and take a break, or things break.
Both happen. They both happen.
I'm glad you clarified that because I literally took it as the first one.
That would be a really great problem to have. It's like, guys, we're taking way too many shit breaks.
Now, there are certain times of the brew where it's like, that's a good time to take a shit.
Right.
I don't remember, or I don't know if you remember, Brian, at one brewery where you didn't get breaks back in the cellar at all.
No.
I stood eating my lunch, and if you sat down to eat your lunch, oh my God, you fucking lazy sack of shit.
But I also think it was acceptable to get breadcrumbs into the kegs when you were cleaning them at that place. But that was a totally different story.
Anywho.
It adds flavor.
Oh, God.
Sorry, it always comes up.
Your shared PTSD.
Yeah.
It just... We don't talk about it.
It sure,
And
no,
seems until
not at all. 6 beers later.
I was like,
you want to know what else happened?
You got to get it out. You got to get it out.
Yeah.
And it's nice to share it with somebody. Dave, what's your favorite hop?
Hop?
Yeah.
Favorite hop?
Sorry, that was
man.
not to interject there. I just...
No, it's like you're asking him to pick his favorite child, I think.
Yeah.
Fair.
I said that at a beer fest when I was like, what's your favorite beer? When we had all these beers. I'm like, I don't know. It's like saying, what's your favorite kid? And she just looked at me without skipping a beat. She's like, you don't think I have a favorite kid? I'm like, all right, geez.
We all know our
You
parents all have
definitely missed
favorites.
the analogy there. With
I'm
that
like,
statement.
all right.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I just poured her whatever was pouring the slowest, obviously.
No, but people always ask that question, what do you make? We make beer. Well, what kind of beer? Good beer. It's just what's your favorite? I don't know. It depends what I'm in the mood for. It's
Like today, for example, or the
tag
weather
always.
changing.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Tag coming back, and it was just like, oh, the weather's cold. It's like, I want to tag today. And I've been on light tackle for months. And yeah.
We all have, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
Dave, when you started off style-wise, is there something you always kind of gravitated towards? You like to make or like to drink or both?
Yeah, I would say, even what got me into craft beer was, going from that old English natty ice kind of lifestyle as youngin', and then I think it was when I had Belgian beer, where I was like, oh, this is very highly respected. This has been going on for hundreds of years. And then you drink it and it's like, whoa, that does not taste like natty light, So the Belgian beer was what made me go, oh shit, and kind of blew my mind into the world of craft beer, And I mean, I've never really got into this beer tastes like this dessert, even though that's cool and I love trying those. And I think the first one I ever had was Sam Adams, because that was back in the day. That was how I
We've had the Sam Adams talk.
They did a great job introducing people to styles.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I covered a lot of ground by just getting those variety packs or whatever when I could, and it was a chocolate Bach, and I was like, whoa, it tastes like chocolate.
Yeah.
Dave, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay. All right. So I'm just thinking back and the same, everything you're saying, I'm yeah, same. As far as Belgians, I started with Lef,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and then Sierra Nevada, but also Sam Adams. Those were like, again, in West Virginia, like those were the things you could get in college, and that was right when I turned 21. I was like, what's this? What's this? But I loved the shit out of Lef, Belgian.
Yeah. No, and if to date me with beer, I would say I came up and like got into craft beer during that Magic Hat phase.
Yeah,
That was when
That's
Magic
honestly-
Hat
that
just
was
showed.
me too, honestly. That
Yeah.
was I
Yeah.
love like Heart of Darkness. That was my favorite. Like that stout they made was amazing. You know, every
Well-
time it was available, that was great.
In Miami, I was selling more Magic Hat number 9 than anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's
I
just
never got
sweat.
into number 9. Wait,
Yeah.
Number 9 is the Apricot Pale Ale.
who did the Scorpion?
So
Phallus. Never mind.
this is on the last podcast with Weenie in the Butt, and you
Wow.
called it Scorpion and thought a scorpion was on the label, but it's actually Sculpin. and it's
Sculpin.
Yeah.
Damn.
Ballast
oh,
Point.
Well,
Samsonite. I was way off.
Way off.
way off again. Leave it.
Scorpion. I knew it.
So,
Sorry.
so Dave, speaking of Belgian beer, so you just got back from a trip a few months ago
Yeah,
that you
this
went on
summer.
with Bob Sylvester
Yeah.
to.
To where?
Well, Dave didn't talk
Another
about it.
Florida
Belgium.
legend.
Yeah.
But you know, some of the things we talked about recently too is the differences in Europe as compared to the States from a beer perception aspect, delivery aspect, culture aspect. So, yeah, I mean that trip with Bob, I was back in June of this year, July.
And, yeah.
Who's Bob?
Bob Sylvester?
Saint somewhere, bro.
Like,
Yeah.
Sorry.
like Florida beer royalty, like
I don't know you, Bob.
Feel-
I'm sorry.
like Field of Beers, like
Oh.
grand entrance guy, like
Bob?
popping off corks and
Mayor Bob?
no,
different
that's
Bob.
sabering. He probably
Not-
sabered a green bottle somewhere.
that's exactly yeah.
Sorry, Bob. I don't know.
Well, yeah. That,
no,
not like I don't want to
he
know.
probably prefers it that way. Just
Fair. I'm gonna look him up now.
Yeah.
So, anywho,
no, he's the man.
sorry to interrupt. As per usual. Pardon the interruption.
That's actually great.
Crushed it.
It all comes together.
ADHD. Moving
Anyways,
on.
Have you guys ever had mayonnaise on burger?
Leave me alone.
Let's try and maintain one conversation.
Sure.
For like 2
I
minutes.
can't.
No,
can't.
I'm actually very interested to hear Dave's response.
Me
here.
too.
Yeah.
You guys
I just
wanna-
need to know
you
who
guys wanna
Bob
let him
was for
talk?
context.
Emily, Brian, shut up. Let Dave talk.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just need to context who Bob was. Sorry, Dave.
Wait, what was the question?
Drinking culture. in
Just
Belgium.
talking about your trip over there, differences
yeah.
in the States, the culture there in beer. What
Yeah.
you guys highlights that trip? Yeah.
Oh man, geez, that was like, yeah, it was too much to like really try and. But I mean, like over there, the beer and bar culture is like so well established. Like you go into a bar that has like every beer is like, you know, the bartenders. You never get a beer not in like the branded glass that
Yes.
that specifically for that beer, no matter where you are, and it's not just like a bunch of like white dudes with beards in there. It's like there's old ladies there. There's like it's every demographic that's there, and you know, you eat it with fries, and what do you dip the fries in?
Mayonnaise.
Mayo.
I like some of the bars there are older than our country.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
And like the cobblestone streets that you're walking up to them are like unchanged and like
Yeah, one of the coolest days was at Vapor, which is like the oldest or the only steam-powered brewery left in the world. And,
What's it called?
Brasserie à Vapor, like steam in French.
That's
Vapor.
really cool.
And
I didn't even know that was a thing.
and like, you know, it's brewing on a brew house that's from the 1700s.
That's
He's still
cool.
making beer, and he's like, oh yeah, that's it's funny. He's like, oh, you guys are brewers. He's like, that's my new pump. Check out my new pump over there. It's from 1921. This is new pump. It's like electric pump. He's like, I still use my old pump from like the 1800s. It's like, and I mean,
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I also I'm blown away with like when you go to like a Lambic brasserie or anything along those lines, you're putting your own squeezing fruit in there, and then the big thing is Mithefe, which is you're adding more yeast to it. I was always kind of blown away by that because, like in this country, if the beer isn't clear, there was a very long time where if the beer wasn't clear, people would send it away. And the beers come in there murky as shit, like completely unfiltered. And it's like, here's some blueberry soft. Boop, go ahead. Now it's a blueberry lambic. Enjoy.
yeah.
I love the way they do it over there.
Yeah, I mean, but like it's like kind of cool. Like you know, it's like you think of us as like these like really we're like innovating and trying to like make everything different and you know we're taking it to the next level, when like really like these guys like trying to stay traditional,
Right.
while like it's like trying to keep a posture while the earth underneath you is constantly moving. They actually have to be very resourceful and very to keep their traditional methods, and it's just as innovating to have to like try and hold on to these, you know, things that to them are very important values, like
Right.
values. Like we don't talk about values when we're back there.
I love that though, honestly.
Although it's a pretty sick flex that like
We're
his
talking
new,
about shit breaks. When's my next shit break?
their big flex is like, yeah, I don't have any new equipment. Like,
Yeah.
And now you walk into a brew house, they're like, this centrifuge is from
Yeah, but then you go to
2027.
Yeah, we went to when we were in Brussels. We did go to like De La Seine and you know, saw his lambricks, which he really likes. But very much there was we saw the whole spectrum. We saw rustic to very like modern, but they all don't cut corners, and they all just really just like stick to traditional things for very deep reasons, and it shows. Like you drink the beer. I mean, we were drinking beer from 9, 10 a.m. in the morning till I don't know every day, like 9 days
10
straight.
p.m.
I never felt like crap.
Yeah.
This was just wake up and did it again. I didn't even really drink a lot before going on the trip.
Probably the most B12 you ever had in your life.
Oh yeah, tons of yeast. Like you know that they say, oh no, the yeast it's good for you. It's good for you. There's yeast in there. That's good.
Do you remember when Jim Cook said that the way he beats hangovers is by taking a spoonful of dry yeast?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Do you
was
remember that
Really?
gimmick? It was a
troll.
lie.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
trolling
So,
everybody.
beer myth.
So to answer your question, Emily, I'm still young. Well, not young anymore, but I was very impressionable and overly excited about everything. So if any brewer in the world said anything, I would do it. And certainly the one like I trusted the most, which was good old Jim Cook at Sam Adams.
Yeah, it's fair.
Whatever he says
It's
goes.
fair.
Yeah.
But would not recommend eating yeast.
I will say Sam Adams, like just that, Jim Cook's brewery tour. That was like one of my first ones that I ever went on, still to this day, like 10 years later, I'm like, that was the best brewery tour I've ever been on, just for the fact of, one, how excited and passionate you are about beer, but like from start to finish, it was just like, holy shit, I fucking love beer and everything Sam Adams is doing.
There you go.
You jump off bridges and they were saying, eat the malt. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to chew this up.
But back to what Dave was saying, with the European trip, the differences on beer culture. I still, it's beer's part of the culture there. It's not a
It's a huge
binging
part.
culture where like
Yeah.
you drink to get drunk.
Yeah.
It's you drink and have a beer at lunch or 2 beers at lunch.
Yeah.
That's not, and it's just more of the natural way you do things.
They
it's-
girl lunch every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like most beers you're drinking are like over 8%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they know
I
what
think
they're
it's
doing.
more of appreciation
Oh, for sure.
versus like the social aspect or just doing it for, stress relief or what have you. There's like no dependency, if you will. I mean, there is, but
And certainly in some of those Germanic cultures and, French culture, like the beer is very regional too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like it's like even like with lambics, it's like this quarter mile we only serve Lindemans, and this quarter mile it's Timmermans. It's just one of those things, and that is certainly the case in Germany as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Belgium was the size of, it's roughly the size of Florida, and like each area of it is way different.
They all claim to be the oldest in something, right? That's the other thing. We're the oldest functioning brewery. Well, we're the oldest with steam. We're the oldest with newest equipment.
Yeah, and you'll find out that a lot of them like came from like the same families, and
Right.
people left from there to, because it used to be even smaller of a world back
Right.
then.
we did. Which one was it? With the lambics and the sours,
Cantillon?
Cantillon.
Yeah.
I love Cantillon. That was really, just from a standpoint of just like something so,
Oh, yeah.
like you said, traditional, and how they dry everything and how everything's laid out, and it's just very open.
Yeah, the spontaneous fermentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go up there in the like attic.
The
they
cool
have
ship.
Yeah.
Cool ships up there, and like everything's just
Yeah.
old as hell. I'm saying
Yeah.
pumps that are from probably the late 1800s. And
It's really cool. Yeah.
It's a cool experience for sure. And the smell is what always gets me. It's like you cannot replicate that smell. When
Right.
you walk into that aging room, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's something that gets beer people excited more so than anything. Just the smell of like a horse blanket. You know what I'm saying? That could really get some endorphins.
Well, we
rolling.
went on a kind of a diversion for a little bit about 3 years ago on the sour side of things here. And we went and Dave developed a Solera project. And we had about 12 French oak barrels upstairs. And then you walk in that room, it took you back to like that lambic style.
Yeah, it was old and funky. I mean,
It was old and funky.
and it's just a traditional way. And of course, like the Pajot land, those guys with the lambic in only this one little region, and everywhere else, it's not technically that. It's like it's like champagne, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I was pretty amazed. We went to Dale, and this guy makes like world class, like excellent, like top notch, like beer, clean beer, not like funky, spontaneous fermented anything. And he has a cool ship. All the beer cools down about halfway in this out in the open air, and then it gets sent over one of those old school heat exchangers where it's just a bunch of copper tubes, and inside the pipes they run cold water, and the wort just trickles over top of it on the outside. Like what we do, it's all enclosed so we can sanitize and pasteurize, and it's all sealed up. And but there, the beer's on the outside, just trickling out in the open, and then it gets sent to a fermenter that is literally just like a tub, and it's an open top fermenter, just open to the air. And this guy's making flawless beer, and it's
with all those things,
and it's exposed to all the elements for half of its life. Till the very end is where it's finally like sealed somewhere, and it's like, I mean.
I feel like in most like breweries, you go in the back room or in the cellar and everything, and it's like even the singlest like dog hair from your clothes will ruin the beer. But those guys over there are just like, nah, it's good.
No, they have it really, really figured out, and
because it's like I know if a piece of equipment goes down here, it is always like threat level midnight. It is, connect this hose up to this thing and do this. We got to bypass this and whatever. And can you imagine operating equipment from like the 1600s?
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, like they don't even have like the
parts to repair that with.
Parts to repair it, or like the tools to fix it. You can get an Allen wrench and fix basically anything back there, right? It's like no, get this enormous hammer and this wedge and wedge the fucker in.
start getting buckets.
You can never find a hammer or wedge nowadays.
Well, not the specific hammer that they use. It's got to be the ancient. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But can you imagine like something like from the 1600s going down?
Oh yeah, no,
That's probably why they poured like everything's open air. It's like
I
less,
can imagine
less
it
stuff.
because there was a brewery we worked for where the canning line felt like it was from the 1800s, and it went down every 3 hours.
That was
And we could never fix it.
the most remarkable thing ever. The thing was constantly.
What happened in the past happened in the past.
Yeah.
We're not done yet. We're not done
Emily's
yet.
only 2 sips into a second beer, so we're just
just
getting
getting
fired
started.
up.
But one of the things Dave
Yeah.
brought up, the regional aspect of things, and utilizing stuff locally, that you have to source, and your connections, and we for the longest time we've always tried to use as much local ingredients as possible. Obviously, we can't go get malts or hops beyond the hop cones that we had out in the IFAS thing in the farm out that I experimented with. But local ingredients like berries and pineapples and those things are natural to Florida. And kind of some of your relationships with some of those farmers, because this area, good example is the pineapple. We still get this pineapples that are the last pineapples that are grown from Owasso, dropped off and put in certain beers, and that connection and the history around produce, I guess I'm trying to say, in Florida, in this area specifically too, and your fondness to horticulture.
Gardening,
Horticulture,
Yeah, no, I agriculture is a big, I feel like it's really important, and I want to support local agriculture, and we, try and find ways to get all kinds of things in beer. can put just about anything. As we've seen in the past couple years, you can put about anything in beer. But Nature Farms, Mark Dellerman in Wabasso. I mean, he's doing something that he's probably not really making any money, but he loves it, and it's very much tied to the history of the area. You know, prior to citrus, pineapples were huge. Very much tied to sailfish. Harry Hill, who the building we started in was his house. He also, on top of being a photographer, was a pineapple farmer. So, you know, to be able to tie a whole bunch of things like that together, you know, Jen and Chris down in Stewart with Honey, they all care about the same stuff we do. We're all kind of vibe, and they have, you know, and they make awesome products. We make awesome products. Get them together. It does feel good, you know, and it tastes good.
You can never replicate the real thing, and using real ingredients in beer or anything, you can taste the difference.
Yeah.
Versus artificial flavoring.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure. So, but I mean, going back to your personal agricultural, I mean, you grow peanuts in your yard, and I mean, you got a lot of things going on.
No, I love gardening, and you know, it's kind of like I said before, you know, I can't just enjoy something. I got to be stressing out about it, and like, this is dying and whatever.
It's nice to know you're not the only one. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I had a sister-in-law, brother-in-law that they stayed with us for a little bit, and they have 3 daughters, and you know, our house, small house, and you know, we had an extra, like, just family in there. It was pretty wild, so I would just find myself outside just watering plants and digging and picking weeds, and
I have plants. I didn't even think of
it's like I gotta get out there to those plants.
peanuts. That's the answer.
If I don't get out here right now, my peanuts are gonna die.
It's like I got to prevent boll weevils.
But it's kind of the same thing as, you know, brewing. It was just like just kind of get too caught up in something, but at least I can like feed my kids like stuff.
Oh yeah.
Not be like, hey, check out this saison, little guy.
Look what Daddy brewed today.
It's imperial stout.
Everyone else can enjoy it. And you know, we were talking about, like, we talked earlier. We were talking about influences and people in the industry, and I feel like I kind of gravitate towards the same things a lot of the time, and we're like, you know, I learned how to brew the same way I learned how to garden, you know, just by YouTube and people on forums and, you know, whatever. And so, you know, gravitating to the same type of things. There's so much information. Like in beer, there's so much information, and same with gardening. There's just so much that, like, I kind of gravitate towards those the wisdom. Mm-hmm. Like there's people, like we were talking about Bob, like, and you see Bob on the forums, and everyone's talking about these doohickeys and all this stuff, and then you have someone that just kind of like steps you back and just goes, "What are you trying to do?" And like it's the same thing.
That's my favorite part of those homebrew forums.
Yeah,
just like I remember some guy who's like, "Yeah,
homebrewers especially."
Oh, they're the best, dude. It's like, yeah, I bought these enormous earphones because my primary fermentation, yeast loves wild music, so like I got Wu-Tang Clan playing for my. Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah, but you get so caught up, and once you're like on the professional world, like your job is to like delve into all those ways to make things better or more efficient. Sure. So you get so caught up in it all the time. Oh, there's a new enzyme and yeast strain, blah, 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 all this stuff, and then every once in a while you need someone, and that's like the Bob, you know, like just like, what are you trying to do, like, and just brings you full circle. And gardening people, you know, on those forums, there's a bug. What do I do? Is this a good bug or a bad bug? And then you get this guy who's been doing it for his whole life. And he's like, well, if bugs don't eat your food, well, you don't want to eat your food. And it's like,
fair.
Shit, just a fucking bug.
It's common sense.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta it's really helpful in the world of.
It's like, this has been great because the crows haven't touched my tomatoes at all.
Yeah.
My whole family's dead now,
Yeah.
but the crow didn't do much to me.
Yeah. In the world of information, you need something like the wisdom. You just need like to bring you back down.
The practicality of things.
What's
Yeah.
the craziest beer thing you've seen on the forums that you've enacted on?
Well, you talked about the music thing,
Yeah.
and this isn't. I did this when I lived in Tampa. I made a California Common steam beer, and the yeast strain I used was from Y Yeast, and their product number is 2112. So I brewed this steam beer, and I put it in this little chamber thing, and I took an iPod and I played Rush's 2112 album to the beer for its entire fermentation. And
Was it the best beer you ever made?
I couldn't tell if it knew what
Right.
was going on, but I mean, I would just be sleeping in the house and it was quiet at night, and you just like hear "We are the Sphinx." It's just like
For the
going
beer.
on for 2 weeks or whatever, just straight.
It's almost like leaving your TV on for the dog when you leave.
It's a pretty dangerous thing to do. My brother and I went to take what we call the Yankee vacation. It was his family, myself. The Airbnb brought his dogs, and he's like, "What are we gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, that's easy. I'll put on dog TV," which is just squirrels and shit running around. Fucking dog took out the television, stove at it. Yeah, like 10 minutes before we left. It was insane.
You
But
put
anyway,
on like the news.
Sports Center.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I was
Sports
like,
This
the
is because it
news.
runs.
Peel,
You know, yeah.
peeling back the curtain, coolest thing. Dave and Emily's dogs start barking at Dave's house, and all of a sudden you hear Alexa go, "Please stop barking."
So annoying.
It's the best. What-
It is.
Especially
But
when
they
you
don't
forget-
listen.
you
They
forget
don't
it.
listen.
Who listens to
Well,
Alexa?
it's two dogs,
Fair.
and one barks, the other barks, and before
Yeah.
you know it, it's a leaf blew, and they're barking at the leaf.
Right.
Yeah.
usually
It's
what it is.
obnoxious
Say,
as
please
can
stop barking. So great.
be. No, she goes, "Will you stop barking?" She doesn't even say please.
So, Dave, you were fortunate enough to, or you say you were lucky enough not have to brew in the barrel and Blickman system we had.
Oh, yeah.
But you picked up in the 3-barrel, and I shouldn't say how difficult. What was that like going from a 3-barrel to a 20-barrel system?
It was. I think I overthought it.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I mean, there's a lot more to it than just multiply by whatever.
Yeah,
6
exactly.
point whatever. And but I mean, we had if we're shouting out people, like Fran was a huge help.
Yep.
Like, here's Fran with the same system pretty much, and he was a big part of like taking us and kind of giving me the confidence, like, yeah, man, there you go.
No, Frame was a huge resource for a lot of people in the industry down here.
for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was. Yeah, because I mean, for me, it was just 3-barrel, having fun, and then like it was kind of like that. It was just like, all right, now do this too. It's like,
And then you brewed White Marlin for 7 months straight.
and they're like, just don't run out of White Marlin. Stop
And now
making
it's
White
Sunrise
Marlin.
City.
That's something I if the true ethos of the podcast is to let people know the ins and outs of our industry and some of the challenges that we have, and when you go from a 3-barrel system, and just to put that in equation, that's essentially you're brewing enough to make 6 half barrels of beer, essentially. The big tubs, as some of you guys call them, not the small tubs, but the big tubs.
The vats.
Vats are what people brew in, and I hate that word. Different story for a different day. We're not swimming in the vats, everybody. I know.
Well, the brewmeisters.
The brewmeister swims in the vats at night.
I'll save that for the end.
Yeah. But it's so if you could talk about scaling up like a beer recipe, you go years on a 3-barrel, and all of a sudden you're on a 20-barrel, and you made it a really astute. It's not just multiplying by X to get to where. What does scaling up actually look like?
One thing I didn't realize, I don't remember who, like Tom, it's like we had like the shape of our tanks. We had like kind of like skinnier tanks, and we got wider tanks, and you kind of had to like play into the fact that there's less pressure, so there's more surface area on the bottom, and we had to like kind of like think of it like there's not like a formula,
Right.
just like a lot of it is like, you think you just like before you make a beer that you just go, all right, well, we'll do the things that you're asking, we'll do those, we'll write them out, and then we'll have the answer.
Right.
But like a lot of the answer comes from literally doing it and going, well,
Ooh.
what does it need? Because at
Right.
at the end of the day, like that's really what you're judging is. I mean, you have all these metrics to like measure, and when you measure them, you then know what variables to change. But at the end of the day, you got to taste the beer and be like,
Right.
that's not what I want it to taste like, and work backwards from there. So we did a lot of that. That's really
So not overnight. It's something lots of trial and error.
Yeah, and I mean
Right.
I'm technically still doing it. Like we're still like figuring out and like we're talking about how there's all these new things, all these things you can do. Being able to like, and definitely not overnight because you got to change one variable at a time, or else
Right.
how do you know what worked?
Right.
So I mean, it was just lots of trial and error, and a lot of beer drinking. And
Do you try every batch?
at some point, yes.
Yeah.
But I would say like on tap, that's one thing I feel like I don't like go up and I haven't like really just sat there and drank every batch, like every Sunrise City batch. But when I'm taking samples and we're running the canning line, I'm definitely getting a little bit in at some point.
I love that.
Yeah, so Sunrise City, I mean, specifically, that's, over the years, we've had, 4 or 5 beers that have kind of always had a place in the market. But, Sunrise City over the past couple of years has rose to the top to be our number one selling beer. I mean, Sunrise City started out as one beer, and it is obviously what it is now. So what was Sunrise City like in the beginning, and what is it like now?
I would say when it comes to recipe-wise, it hasn't really changed much. But also, before I was here, didn't Sunrise City have like honey and some sort of citrus or something?
Yeah, it had Natalie's juice in it and honey originally.
Okay.
And
It's like Hop Slam?
and that may have been right before your coming on when I was kind of doing something, and Kevin too, I think maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where that kind of started, and it's kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, I know when in the 3-barrel system or back at the old spot, there wasn't, we bought ingredients less often, and things kind of whittled their way into like, well, we need to make this beer, and this is what we have. And so a lot of beers kind of worked in their way, funneled into like some of like the same ingredients. Like prior to me being there, it was like we had that hop contract that had stuff on it that I was like, we never use this.
Yeah.
And it's because we didn't have it, so they stopped using it. But now, I mean, we've pretty much, we play with process most of the time, like how we do things. And, a little bit of ingredients sourcing for the most part, but I mean, other than that, that's...
Sunrise is like a go-to. I mean, it's like Tackle is right now, but like as far as when I think of Sailfish, I think of, back 6-7 years ago when I first had it, it was just straight up like, that's what you think of when you think of Sailfish, even though like White Marlin's our flagship and everything like that. Sailfish or Sunrise City is just that one amazing consistent beer, and even if the recipe has changed slightly,
yeah, and the
it's
recipe
still,
hasn't really changed much, but like how we do things,
right?
Or like, we used to put the dry hops in a mesh bag and stick it in the bright tank, and it's now dry hopped cold. But later on, I started, when I took over, we would dry hop towards the end of fermentation, and then we would stage the dry hops into where we do 2 dry hops, and we start to spoon the beer where we seal it off, and it has some natural carbonation to kind of lock in some of those aromas. Beer, the hops are directly in the beer; they are not in any sort of bag, and so it's all little process changes. I feel like have been the biggest like differentiating factor from the old Sunrise to now.
We were using an oil at some point, weren't we?
Yeah,
Hop oil?
we do
Yeah,
use
hop oil.
like bittering oil.
Yeah.
That we just use. It's a little bit at the beginning of the boil, just to just cut down on the amount of plant material.
Yeah.
It does get really vegetal, and when you're just adding so much hops
yeah.
into it. So the bittering at the beginning, but then all the hops throughout the rest of the boil are all at least pellet hops.
Yeah.
Right? Pelletized.
Yeah, I mean, your guys' yield is it improves
incredible.
significantly.
Yeah.
On that beer. I mean, most people know. I mean, you start off with a 60-barrel batch you're doing, and you may end up with 57 barrels of it that are actually finished product that you yield. But I mean, you guys have gotten pretty close to 60 in some cases recently.
We've been milking it.
Yeah. No, it means a lot, though. I mean, it really helps out from, when you are on the production side producing a lot of it, it really helps out a lot. So.
I think getting every barrel of that we can for sale side specifically is so important.
Oh, yeah.
We had a little snafu with packaging equipment, and not having that beer for 3 days was like the most stressful time I've had in the company. And even then, like, everyone's like, okay, when it comes in, we're ready to go. Like, we've got a plan. And like a lot of beer went out in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane.
That was the most stressed I've seen you. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Right, and if I'm not alive next week, we know
But
why.
to see Brian and not his, it's the best day ever. It's always like, okay, he's stressed.
Hey, we got through it.
We did.
Yeah.
We always do.
It humbles us and reminds us that, hey,
Yeah.
hang tight, guys. We'll be there. It's coming.
Our pump from 1920 wasn't working, you guys. Yeah.
Well, I think that matters so much too, just based off just as you mentioned from the sales side, like how when that beer does get to the distributor and then to the account, how much you have to price it out and margins and everything like that. But like it goes down to how much you're getting to the point of like how much it has to be sold for, and then how much we have to sell that to the account, and then how much your beer is priced at the account, and how much it's such a trickle-down effect of can you sell your beer for $7 and versus $8 or $9 or what have you. And I think just what you're saying is like you've got it so clean and consistent that you're getting the most yield out of everything that you're doing, to where it makes everybody's job easier because you have it so mastered.
Other places would kill to have 98% yield from their number one selling
Well,
beer.
and that's a good point Emily brings up there, is just, when you're out there selling it, whether you're on the wholesaler side, the supplier side, the biggest compliment and the best compliment I've received about our beer is the fact that no one has to worry about it.
Right.
It's always, we never get, how often do we get calls about our beer?
Rarely.
Rarely. And usually it's not even our beer.
It's not even beer. It's the thing that we put in a yellow can. It comes up every podcast. I just don't want to say it.
Well, I was saying more the drafting of it, but
Right.
He's distracted. He's hurt.
I'm all screwed up now.
Does that to people. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
The biggest,
tea.
the best compliment you can get is the fact that the confidence that the hard work that you put into what you're producing helps with on all sides of it.
Right.
It does. It helps a lot,
Yeah.
and confidence in selling it, and not having these wholesaler reps get calls about it, or us get calls about it, or anything. It's a big deal, and that's a big differentiator, I think, specifically with our beer in Sunrise City as well too.
I've said it for years that you always see like the face of a brand, and it usually does come down to like the sales rep because they're the one out there. But I'm like, it should be the brewmeister. We love that word here. It should be the brewer at the end of the day, and because they are the ones like actually they're the cook in the kitchen, and just because someone served that plate, they didn't cook it. They didn't make it, and I just feel like the brewer should get all hands down credit.
Oh no, and 100%, and it's relationships and who they know for the most part.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I just mean
just like
Dave
the cook,
does a great
cook
job.
doesn't have time to go out there and talk to the people he's giving the food to, just like
Chef,
Dave doesn't
right?
have time
That
to go out and tell every person, hey, I made that beer. Let me tell you about it. Let me go back to work now. It's just,
Well, as they say in the restaurant side, compliments to the chef. We're gonna say compliments to the brewer.
Right. Well put.
Yeah.
Well,
But I don't think people went around and didn't thank Garrett Oliver. Just or certainly Wayne Wambles. People can go around thanking him all the time. Yeah.
So
fair.
one thing
It's fair.
we are excited about in extending the success of Sunrise and how great that beer is doing a variation of it, an extension of it that Dave's working on right now. You guys are getting ready to brew that next week.
Yeah.
Next week, using pineapples.
Yep.
So double Sunrise.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's
If you haven't seen the can yet, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you know Sunrise and you love Sunrise and you can recognize that on every shelf that you see, the can is a little flip slide, floppy flop, and I'm excited. That's all I got to say. I'm excited for it.
a little floppy flop.
A little floppy flop.
There's a right side up pineapple too. We didn't give anybody the wrong impression.
Which there was a mock-up of that,
That
right?
had an upside down pineapple.
And we were like,
I was going to sell
oh.
a shit ton of that in Orlando.
And the keys.
And definitely the keys.
And the villages.
I was about to say, yeah.
So, Dave, tell us a little about Double Sunrise and what you think about that
Yeah,
and
I
how that
think
kind of came together.
The whole
and-
idea, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole idea of that beer is, when you're like out on a boat and you want to drink 2 sunrises, but you don't want to have to pee that much. Right?
That's a
Isn't
great-
that what we were? That's what
Didn't
we're
think
going
of it. Didn't think of it that way.
I didn't think of that. Why?
But I love it.
That
But wait,
is very
why-
solution oriented.
Why
Yeah.
don't you pee as much if you're...
for. I mean,
Less
you're drinking
Less,
one beer.
less liquid,
Oh.
more
Yeah,
alcohol.
less liquid.
Oh my God, that was really bad.
2
Great taste, less filling.
Great taste, less film.
Hey, let's use that.
In my head, it was literally going to, like, there was something special about it being double or higher ABV that made you pee less, so...
No, I mean,
Anywho,
really, that
one
was-
moment.
I mean, I give Brian, that was kind of,
But-
you spearheaded that whole
But nobody makes a better double IPA in the state than you. I know it's not hyperbole. That's not me being over, Double Chowder was one of the beers that made a podcast very entertaining because I was hammered. But the thing is, that beer was all of that 9% and didn't drink that way. Then let's talk about the iconic Flounder Pounder. And having one of those,
Yeah.
I mean, that became my football beer because my team was so bad. But again, you're talking about a very high ABV beer. I fell in love with Pineapple Man. I think it was like my first real offshoot Sailfish beer that I've had. And I'm like, well, we already have the best double IPA guy in the game,
Yeah.
right? And we have, one of the highest ranking IPAs and an iconic name like Sunrise City. Let's do something with
Yeah.
that and let the genius go to work. And I couldn't be happier with how this whole thing is turning out because
Yeah.
you see an inspiration in him that that fire is always there, but it seems to be burning a little bit brighter because there's pineapples. It's double IPA, and we get to urinate less.
I had a friend that she was anti-IPA.
Don't clip that.
Oh, it's going in.
Well,
I
it's
had a-
going in, but don't clip that.
I had a friend that was anti-IPA, would not drink anything that was just couldn't stand IPAs, and literally Flounder Pounder was her one that was like, damn, maybe IPAs are pretty damn good. And that's when she went to Sunrise City and she was like, just changed her whole perspective on IPAs, craft beer, etc., and just got her away from drinking the basic bullshit. And
No, it
yeah.
is a fun beer to serve at Beer Fest specifically.
Yeah.
Most people will say, I don't like IPAs. Okay, well, try this. And it's like the non-IPA drinkers IPA sometimes because it is that one IPA they like.
Yeah.
Because of just how aromatic, the citrus forward aspect of it all.
And they're
the grapefruit notes. People
Yep.
still swear we put grapefruit in that beer and we don't.
we
But I
don't.
mean,
No, you have
yeah.
to. You have to specifically say you will taste fruit. There is no fruit in this beer.
Which is
right? You have to say that
crazy.
all the time. Yeah.
That a double would introduce the non-IPA drinker to open their palate to drinking IPAs, a double, because it's just, I mean, I get obviously the fruit forwardness of it, but just surprising.
What you
'cause-
hear back from people a lot is that, and this is for other people to certainly share with that friend that doesn't care for beer or whatever. It's the double IPA has all that alcohol content and flavor of the IPA without imparting that bitterness that some people say gets on the tip of their tongue,
Sure.
removes the enamel from their teeth, all that stuff that they say.
Feels like they threw up after,
Right.
or their mouth feels like they just threw up.
The bitterness isn't overwhelming. The sweetness is balanced out, and what you have is a damn good beer. But what I'm very excited about is certainly with Double Sunrise. Double IPAs have just been in fuego, some might say. People are buying them, and in a time in beer where they're telling us every week that we should close this facility and every brewery in the world and just succumb to ciders and RTDs, and we have the direct opposite experience of that. But what could we do to put a further stamp onto what we're doing? And
Right.
Double Sunrise is coming out with that hint of pineapple, and I mean I look at 3 or 4 competitors that guys, it's come
no
on.
comp.
Yeah.
No comp.
Yeah,
man.
let's go.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a double, it naturally is going to have a little sweeter, a little more body, so then you got to balance it out a little more. And And that's really, I think, the whole, at least when making one, you don't want it to be like cloyingly sweet,
Right.
at the same time of being also very boozy. That's like, sounds like the worst beer you could.
Yeah.
So that.
Sounds like Old English.
Yeah. But yeah, so we haven't even tried it, and you guys love it. I'm glad.
I'm
glad you like it.
It's such trust and credibility that, again, just like you said, like we've got the double IPA man,
Right.
the IPA man here that knows what the hell he's doing, and you just whatever you make, we're just like, oh, it's gonna be good. We know it's like again a chef in the kitchen. You know, whatever they're putting out, it's gonna be like, I don't care what it is.
That's a good thing Emily brings up there is the confidence that our beer has done with the consumer.
Right.
Yeah.
Where there's not one specific beer that our brewery is built upon. And Sunrise is obviously the number one seller out there, but over the years, there's a lot of beers that have some tremendous brand integrity, brand identity. Italian Release Amber, White Marlin Wits. People trust the brand so much, doesn't matter what we produce, they're going to get behind it or at least have confidence going into it to order it. And you
Right.
experience that firsthand when you're at accounts. And people say,
Yeah.
I'll take a Sailfish.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 Sailfish on draft. Would you like? Just give me a Sailfish.
Any of them.
Yeah.
This is not a show to just blow smoke up Dave's ass the entire time, but everything
Or
we're saying
is
is
it?
true
It's
because
facts.
we experience it firsthand
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the battlefield out there,
Yeah.
and it is a fucking battlefield. Let me tell you that. For
sure.
With the feedback you get from the consumer and being out there, and that confidence is so hard to establish
Yeah.
and maintain.
Yeah.
And I will say we've done a good job of both, and it goes down to the goddamn beer.
Yeah.
I hate people say liquid. I like the beer.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You know,
You guys
the
know how I
liquid.
feel about
Taste the liquid. It's
Liquid
like,
to
fuck you.
lips. I'm like,
Yeah.
shut up.
It's the beer. And
I'm guilty of that too, by the way.
It drives me
Yeah.
nuts. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves, liquid to lips. I'm like, shut up.
Cans and hands, liquid to lips. We're
I don't
not
mind
trying to
cans
boil
and
the ocean.
hands. Cans and hands is fine, but
All-
liquid to lips, I'm like, ew.
All that
stop
corp,
it.
all
It's
that
like moist.
corporate speak just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
corporate jargon.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Synergy. A fireside chat, if you will.
Aha. No.
Anywho.
Well, going back to loving the beer before we even drink it, it's like you're Rockstar Games, dude. Like RDR3 goes out on pre-sale tomorrow without a preview. I'm buying it. You know?
Yeah.
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 I don't even play video games, and I know what that meant.
Yeah, so maybe this isn't like a blow smoke up Dave's ass, but maybe it's like a very thankful for everything that you put out there that makes our jobs.
We're all just feeling
way
warm and
easier.
cozy wearing hoodies today. That's,
Where's the Christmas trees?
yeah.
They're behind us.
That's
Or
it.
Behind
In
the
front
camera.
of us,
Yeah, in front of us.
Plus an enormous sign that says pizza right there, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's all sorts of happy going down.
Girl,
And I'm 2 stats deep, so here we are.
to what, dude?
Stouts. Not
Stats.
Stats.
2 stats deep. You know what I'm
Are
saying?
you speaking banjo?
No, that was no accent. No, it might have been Australian because it was stats.
Or maybe
That sounds like Pittsburgh.
I was gonna say like a little,
Stats.
more a little
Yeah,
yang in
Two
there.
stouts, you yins.
Yins.
A little yang in there.
Yoy and double yoy.
All right, so I got 2 more questions to kind of round this out today. So,
right.
first one, you've seen the craft beer scene over the past decade, at least being in it in the professional side of things and how that's changed.
That's true.
We're making educated guesses, right, what to do next, based off of data, based off of consumer feedback, based off of what we think makes the most sense. Where do you see the beer industry at in the next couple of years? Next, say, 3 years.
That's a scary question.
It is.
Yeah, there's a
unknown.
lot of variables. I think it's going to continue to like thin itself out.
Fair.
I mean, I don't know if that's economically driven or like, but I mean, you know, we've seen it. We've seen a high saturation of just so many breweries and it. I don't want to say it doesn't come down to like who's the best. It comes down. I don't know what it comes down to, but
Consistency.
I mean, yeah,
I
like
think.
look at like Odd Breed, like Matt Manf
Oh,
is like
man.
that's like top notch.
I was thinking about them earlier.
But there we go, economical. It like the and like you said before that it's the industry has changed so much from like people hype beers, getting in lines, waiting for going to Hunapoo Day, like all these things that just like aren't like a thing. And
Yeah.
and now with the trend of beer going very lager forward and lagers, it's like are we like craft beer was kind of like, hey, do you want something besides a lager? Like,
Right.
we have something else. There's other beers too. And now people are starting to like come back into their comfort zone, maybe their lagers. So like, I think it's a world where you're gonna have to just like keep your head on your shoulders and do what you know works, and you know, still of course still having fun with it, but that whole like we were saying,
exploratory.
you can, you can put all this crazy stuff in a beer, and you can try and think people are gonna like flock to you, but you can get that shit anywhere now.
Yeah.
It's like you can get anything, everything's at our fingertips, from information to literally every flavor of beer. That like I don't.
Do you think Florida experienced that faster than other parts of the country because we're always kind of behind, and we got everything all at once, more or less?
And we have everything. Like, we have some of the biggest beer names, and then like I feel like at least for the trends, we're like the last ones to catch the trends. You know,
caught the trends all at one time, at the same time. Yeah.
So
seltzers, teas, bang.
Sours, everything.
Yeah, I think the trend, just the idea of trends, is gonna like at least slow down. I mean, there used to be trends every couple months. There's like a new beer trend.
Yeah.
I think people aren't gonna be able to afford to just stick their neck out like that.
Can't be chasing every trend out there. Just own who you are. And
So it's like reliability, trustworthiness, and consistency, honestly.
Well, I think even that, it's, you know, not everyone's going to survive the next couple of years, in my opinion. You know, we've already seen some of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt Manthe is one of the best brewers
Yeah.
in the state, let alone like the country.
Easily, yeah.
And it's like, if he's folding up shop and going somewhere
Yeah.
else, like that's
Right.
pretty scary stuff. you know?
Right. It's all crazy.
It is.
It's crazy
keep
times.
plowing ahead.
But like, you know, just like those articles that come out that sit there and, you know, say beer's dead, blah blah blah. Beer is the furthest thing
Well, first
from
off,
dead.
those articles are
Bullshit.
national based, and they're not
Right.
regional based.
For
But
sure.
I stopped reading Beer Business Daily because I got so frustrated reading it because it had nothing to do with Florida. and really, it represented no trends
Yeah.
going on in Florida at the time.
Yeah.
It never does. It's a national level, and
Well,
every
Florida's
every market's different, and specifically the South Florida market, or say Orlando
Right.
South, it's extremely different than the rest of the
Yeah.
Beer might be dead in
Yeah.
Delaware. It's not dead here.
Yeah, but trend culture. I mean, I
Right.
guess that's what we've
Yeah.
had for the past decade. Is like, you know, like, you got anything cool coming out? It's like, well, the industry was like, you got any cool trends coming out? Like, I already had a brewed IPA. Well, like,
Yeah.
what's next? Like, what's the next thing?
It's
And-
now cold IPA.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but is that
then,
a
and then you go back and you go like look at Belgium, like look at the breweries that have been here for hundreds of years, like how they didn't survive by chasing the new trends, you know. So trend culture, I think, is probably the thing that's
Well,
gonna,
maybe that's what we're coming out of now, and transitioning to the more of that Europe, let's say fully European, but we're just kind of
Quasi.
embracing the old reliables, for lack of a better
because
term.
IPA was a new thing that's not somewhat recently. And you know, people thought that was going to be, you know, that was a trend, and that one actually, IPA stuck.
Well, it's now types of IPAs. Like
Yeah.
when I was really into it, like Avery Maharaja. I mean, that thing. Good luck tasting food after that. I mean, that beer, you were only tasting like the hops, the malt, the whole thing. You couldn't get enough of it. Stone Ruination. I mean, the whole name of that beer was to ruin your palate. And now those IPAs are very difficult to come by. I love them when they come back, but it's like I couldn't do more than two now. I want something with a little bit more full flavor that I can enjoy. I want a Sunrise City. Sorry, another commercial
want
for
what you love.
Another commercial
Yeah.
for Sunrise City. But it's like those IPAs are kind of falling off a little bit, and now, you know, Hazy is one of our up and comers that is performing really well. So it's like those things are gonna change. But I also think that you know, our ultimate goal, I say it all the time, is like the guy who walks into a grocery store. He sees that flag, and he's just buying it. He's not
Right.
standing in front of the cooler for 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Well, it's just
Dave-
like, you know, whatever they're putting out, like just going back to like
Yeah.
Sam Adams, like, I mean, you know what they're putting out. It's
Yeah.
like you're going to enjoy it.
When
to
they put
that,
out Porch Rocker, that's when it stopped for me.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
I had one. Sorry, had 2 questions. I had 3 questions. 2 left. Collabs. Thoughts on collabs?
Yeah, that was
It's a big thing for a very long time.
yeah. It was. I think it was so big that people weren't collabing.
They're forced collabs.
They were.
Let's take a picture on top of the brew house together and throw some.
Yeah,
it's-
we.
Hey, do you guys want to come over to our place and watch us work?
I mean, it got to the point where a brewery was coming by to check out some equipment, and they were on their way to another brewery because for their collab picture, and the beer was already made. It was already like tapped, and they're just like, yeah, we just got to get the. So like collabs became just like co-branding there for a while. Where like no one was collaborating.
I want to
They
get
were
my
just like,
beer in your market. You want my beer in your market?
Bam.
Let's do a collab.
Yeah, you send me a little file with your
Probably
little,
started off very organic, but it's turned into what it's turned into.
Yeah.
And
People ask
it,
us for collabs.
and it did kind of like showcase the camaraderie and like tight knit relationships that the craft beer industry does have, and they kind of celebrated it, but it definitely got out of hand to where like now nobody's collabing. I last time I went up to Walking Tree, Mike Malone was like, hey, like we should do like a collab. I'm like, yeah. And then I saw Jesse at Rocky Water, and he's like, dude, I'm like, yeah, we need to do those. We need to do those things again. So yeah,
Like Saison du Buff.
No, but that's a good point. I think we are coming. I think we went through a period of non-collaboration in the craft brewery side, and I think we're coming back to that being a bigger thing and more camaraderie. I think we lost that for a little bit during COVID. Maybe it was a survival instinct. Maybe it was just every man for themselves. But I think we're coming back to that as the things may get thinned out a little bit.
Yeah,
hopefully.
sure.
Yeah.
I think it took a little bit of a turn too, where just like you said, like it became like almost washed out in a way, where it wasn't like a genuine kind of collaboration. It was just like I'm gonna say it, piggyback kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And and it lost that camaraderie, like you said, like just that meaningful impact of 2 local breweries or 2 major breweries, whatever breweries with some consistency, relationships, or reliability. I think it kind of lost that appeal to it, and I think especially how sadly how things have kind of like weeded out how it still matters. Simple put.
But in their defense is like that. That's how you like get it done. Like,
Yeah.
Like when you sit there and you send an email like, oh, what about this? And then you like sends an email. A week later, someone sends an email back. Oh, here's an idea. And then before you know it, you never did a collab.
Right.
Like it just goes on and on. But
Well, I feel like the styles got
they
a
were
little
like, I got a beer. It's getting brewed on this day.
Right.
It's done. It's done. We did a collab. Like
Well, they got way too offshoot. Like in the early days, it was like, okay, papaya IPA. That sounds awesome.
Right.
Like some of the, and then it was like peppercorn Rybach with raspberries.
Yeah.
What? Like
Yeah.
yeah, that'll kill it.
Well, it just like it took it that turn where it's just like the breweries that would collab that had these classic styles that they were known for,
Right.
they would come together and then create this completely separate style that was just like it was a hype beer almost. It was just like these weird things where you're just like, give me what you're known for, and then like put 2 great minds, 2 great brewers, 2 great companies together, and give me a beer that I know is going to be damn good.
I was a
It just
part
got
of
weird.
a really cool one with Barrel Monks and Due South. Same beer in principle, brewed on each other's systems and packaged separately. So we had Iconoclast and Apostate, and both of them were a Belgian IPA.
I remember Apostate.
Due South was the IPA brewery, and Barrel Monks is like the Belgian-inspired brewery.
Right.
So it was like a combination of both, and we did really well. It was more event-centric
Sure.
than it was like, hey, we did a collab thing.
Right.
Right. Phil Palmisano and I got hammered at Fat Cats. That was the extent of the
It was a
events.
good time.
Right.
Yeah.
But the the packaging was really cool, and Barrel Monks had their own. We had our own. It was really neat to see. But then you see, you hear of the ones where it's like, yeah, these dudes came up and they were really focused on what the label looks like, and they didn't care what the beer was. They took a picture on our system and bailed. Like, yeah, and that's not the nature of it.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I think that again just ruins credibility.
Yeah.
When it becomes into that type, it's just phony. We
All
don't
right.
want
So last
phony.
question here.
Shut the fuck up, Emily.
Let's
Got
answer the
it.
question 25 times.
Continue on, Dave.
So, pet peeve of mine. So, you have owned the title of head brewer for a long time here. People brewmeister.
Brewmeister.
Please explain to the audience what a brewmeister is, and just that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not big on titles, I guess, but so like, if everybody's a brewmaster, then like, what do you call those guys that, like, you go to Belgium and see these guys have been doing this, or like Wayne Wambles,
Right.
Wombles, like, what do you call them?
Right.
If we're all just if you can go take a 9-month course and get a brewmaster certificate, and you're now like I don't know. It feels like you kind of water it down to where and people come to the brewery and they look at your beer and like, tell me talk to the brewmaster, and brewmeister.
Meister is the
Meister,
one.
master.
Brewmaster, don't chalk up to malice what you can to, I don't want to say stupidity, but stupidity, right? Don't chalk that up to like what people don't know, they don't know.
Yeah, they think it sounds German, so
Right.
it sounds more authentic because it's beer.
But when people are like, wow, my regards to the brewmeister. Ugh. And then they go, oh, those vats back there. You guys like swimming in the vats?
Yeah, the vats.
Not what we do here.
No.
When do you add the alcohol?
Right. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
I see us dumping grain in the back, and
Those-
they're like, "Oh, are those the hops?" And
Those old
everything's hops.
Old archaic terms that, like, for lack of better words, old guys use. Like, it's like, no, this tag and release doesn't have the bite that it used to. What does bite mean?
Yeah.
Like, did the beer come out and like
Smooth.
Like yeah, bite. It was like, no, I prefer beers with a little bit more bite. Bite, like a beer that took a bite out of you. God, there's so many of them.
Yeah,
Sticky legs.
But Brewmeister, yeah, that curls like the hair on the back of my neck.
I hear
like,
that now. It
Yeah.
makes me cringe.
It makes me think of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rankin Bass, little claymation puppet deal. And he's Burgermeister
Yeah.
Burger. That's what I think of.
Yeah, that's what they're probably thinking of.
Yes, we have this old German guy in the back. He just lives there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that there's no title beyond like the master of brewing. So
Right.
like, let's leave that for those guys that are like really like
Actually,
I like the way you
Next
said
level,
it, that
like-
it waters down
Yeah.
your actual craftsmanship, if you will.
I'm not saying that I can't do whatever or
Right. But it almost makes it sound like anybody can do it.
But yeah, like Garrett Oliver, and
Right.
it's like we have the same title, like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's
there are some people who will flex that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, if there's nobody above you in
Right.
the company, does that make you the master of the brew? Like,
Or the Meister,
Meister.
Beer Meister. I worked some event years ago. These two guys, green as goose shit, they're coming up to me. They're like, I even hate doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Coming up, they're like, wow, you should talk to your distributor. You could get, and like, they're telling me all this shit. Like, okay, whatever, man. Like, let me introduce you to my Beer Meister. I'm like, oh my God. Are you out of 1980 catalog, pal? I rarely am cynical about stuff. Rarely. And like that day, I'm like, I quit.
It's the Mayo podcast.
It's what?
It's the Mayo podcast.
It's a burger and mayo. Give me a long burger. Call it a day. No,
Distasteful.
But like, no, I wasn't. I was kind of a snarky prick, and I shouldn't have been. Like, it's one of my big regrets.
I'm
but
the
I,
same way.
Right, but I was like,
guess.
You don't say.
I don't say.
no, but like that day, I'm like, all right, this drive home is gonna suck because I'm gonna want to quit every hour. I got to leave the business if these are the people that are in it. Like, no, but.
It just, I think you hit the nail on the head there with watering it down.
Yeah.
Like, if everybody can be a brewmeister because they went home, found some ingredients, threw them in a little jug, and said, I made a beer. And even if it's
No.
shit or not, and then they call themselves a brewmeister, that's where I'm just like,
yeah.
There's
no,
these
you're not.
marauding groups of homebrewers in Miami. They had branded equipment. They had team T-shirts. They were pulling up in a van that had been wrapped with their logo. They're like, oh, our beer is going to be everywhere. Oh, who, like, no, dude, we're just making it in my garage. Let me introduce you to our master brewer, Felipe.
Meanwhile, they're brewing on
It's like
a
Felipe's a 19-year-old kid who just picked up like a
He's the
Charlie
one making the
Papazian book.
beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or they're brewing
Yeah, he
on
read
like,
Gordon Strong, which
Yeah.
you should, and
It's
now
like, Felipe, what you got here? Some Belgiums. Belgiums?
that comes out of a
Sure.
Gatorade cooler.
Bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
plural countries.
We have no mayonnaise for our fries.
Well,
And you heard
guys,
it here first.
What a terrible way for me then.
No, it's great.
that's okay.
All good.
That was great.
Dave's already yelled at
Shitty
me,
joke, thanks.
as
I
per
did
usual.
yell at her.
Anyway, moving on. Wrap it up, Dave.
Mayonnaise. Yeah, so to wrap it up,
Get it together.
There go the rails, everybody.
Dave, thanks for being on today.
Thanks for
just
having me.
great hearing about just your background and what you kind of been through the past decade here with us, and your history before that, and everything about your take on beer, and obviously the great beer you make. So,
Oh yeah.
really grateful to have you on today. Guys, thanks for joining us on Florida's Drinking Report today, and tune in next time. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Spotify. Like and subscribe.
Don't
if you-
describe.
Or comment and describe your thoughts.
Comment and describe. Yeah, that's even better, Emily. Thanks a lot. Comment and describe.
Burgers, should they be long or tall?
And should they have
Mayonnaise.
mayonnaise on them?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No mayonnaise on burgers.
Oh.
Aioli's fine, but
No, so I go no mustard. Mayonnaise is acceptable.
Hot dog.
We will
mustard?
continue this argument on the
Hot
next one.
dog is mustard for
Yeah.
sure. Hot mustard, preferably,
Oh yeah, hot mustard.
or like grain mustard, like the good stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love when Brian has extra thoughts and it's Brian, not me. So anyway,
we've
podcast, everybody.
we've long established that when you and I have the same amount of beers, we become the same person.
woo girls.
Yes, that's exactly right. Long established.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Again, Florida's Drinking Report. Dave Cavasinni on as our guest. Thanks for being on today. Until next time, guys. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Cheers, y'all.
Oh boy.
Cheers.